Hello to all of my Motivators family. How are you doing? This is Marlene Motivates. I am your life coach for motivation and more. I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for being here and for supporting my channel. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you so much. I want to talk to you guys about resilience. I think that's a really important topic for us to really think about. And now we're in July. This is a brand new month with so many wonderful, wonderful goals, wonderful objectives. And I want to talk about resilience because it takes resilience in this life to be able to make it. You have to be resilient. You have to be strong and you have to believe in yourself. Confidence is key. But this life, so much stuff happens, as adults in this life that we have to give ourselves that permission to reset, to restart. And I wanted to say to somebody that we're stronger than we think. We're stronger than we know. And why is that important? When we realize how strong we are, it's something that's very important to know that we're strong and we're not weak. And just because we're going through things, it doesn't make us a weak person. It just means that we honestly have not given ourselves that permission to either heal or to let go and be strong. This life is set up to there be so many things, right, that we can have going on. And just you having the ability to say, you know what, I'm still here. That is for me proof of how resilient I am. And that's proof for you as well that shows how resilient you are. It's not easy to keep fighting. It's not easy to keep yourself encouraged, but it's because of our resiliency. It's because of your resiliency while you're able to continue on. I know I've had so many times in my life where I do feel like giving up. I do feel like, oh, why even bother? Why even try? And the answer to that, we should try because we have value. We should try because that's the only option, you know? Hi, Miss Lynn. How are you doing? Welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy new month. We are the ones that have to say, I'm resilient. I am capable. I am worth it. And I wanted to say that to all of my motivators family because in this life there's always going to be some turns, some unexpected things, and some things that maybe you've been dealing with for years. It could be chronic illness, chronic drama from your relatives and from other people in our lives. So we can't do anything about what other people do. We just have to know how to deal with people. And I really believe that that's an art form. You really do have to be very strong. You do have to be very vigilant. You do have to be very courageous in this life because if you're not, this life will chew you up and spit you out. Trust and believe. This life will chew you up and spit you out, and people will chew you up and spit you out if they know that you give up easily. If they know that you get discouraged easily, if they know that they can make you feel bad about yourself by what they do. See, and we cannot give people our power. We can't give our power away. And it's easier said than done, but it's the truth. We have to be resilient. And I wanted to talk about some ways that we can be resilient in this life and why we should be resilient. Because so much happens. Life happens, and life is going to keep happening, but we have to continue to keep going. But it's the way we continue to go. See, that's the difference, motivators family. Um, we can choose to be an angry person because I've done that. I don't know how many of my motivators family is honest enough to say that. I know many of us go through things where we will feel like this is just too much for me, but we're so resilient because we don't understand sometimes that the things that we go through in our lives is a preparation. We're being prepared for something. We just don't know what it is when we're in that season, when we're learning the lesson. And I want to talk about resilience. So, resilience is crucial because it equips individuals to be effective in handling life's inevitable challenges. And it helps us because we know how or we learn how to recover. And this is the point that I want to talk about right now, recovering from setbacks. Now, we can't do anything about when life is lifing and when things happen, like what happened during the pandemic, like when situations like you can lose somebody that you love, you can lose a job, you can have situations happen that you would never expect for a person that you cared about and loved to reject you, to backstab you, to talk bad about you, gossip about you. There's certain things that we do not expect, but resilience is important in our day-to-day living because we have to be resilient enough to recover. This is very important, motivators family. All of this is tied into our peace, it's tied into our happiness, and if we're not resilient, we will never be able to recover. And recovering means to withstand. It means to get over situations and problems, okay? So, do you actually want to? When you have a setback, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, whether it's whatever the setback is, something happened and a situation happened that you didn't want it to be that way, but you have to get back into living life once again. That is something for me when I go through something, especially something unexpected, something that somebody did that really brought you pain. It's very difficult to recover from a setback because you didn't see it coming. But I just wanted to encourage everybody that you can recover from it. Because when we go through a situation, it showed how strong you are because you're still here. See, that shows how resilient you are. You're still here. There's a lot of people and they give up. And you may not feel like you're very strong, but you are strong. Just the fact that you go through day to day and you keep a positive attitude, that really it makes the difference in how we recover. We can't switch what happened, but we can always switch how we look at it, our perspective, our attitude. And of course, we can be very negative when things happen. And it's only natural as a human being to, like, something happens and you're very upset and you want to talk about it. But giving yourself the freedom and the permission to say what it was and did I do something? Did I allow something? That's essential in us really um, becoming resilient, overcoming the situation, and not replaying and not making the same choices over and over again. Because that definitely is something that I've done over and over again. And until you learn to reset. Hi, Lara. How are you doing? Welcome. And until I learned that I deserve to get past this. And that's something that we have to say to ourselves. I deserve to get past this. This too is going to pass, and everything is going to be okay. That is so important in helping us to be resilient and to continue on. Um, and being resilient is essential when it comes to mental health issues. And there's many months throughout the year where a lot of people, um, we have those mental health months. Like we'll have women's mental health, there'll be men's mental health, it'll be kids' mental health. But every day, I think, is mental health day because we have to take care of ourselves, how we are coping with our life. It's going to help us. Now, I want to read something here. Being resilient helps us to prevent mental health issues like anxiety and depression, and it fosters overall well being by enhancing stress management and emotional regulation. You know how important that is? To be resilient in this life, you got to take care of your mental health issues. And everybody has them. We all have times or seasons, or it may be a part of your makeup that you may be an anxious person. Maybe you are prone to depression. Maybe you get really stressed out very easily. Being resilient is going to give us the ability to say, I'm really stressed out right now, I'm going through this, but you give yourself the permission to do what you need to do in order to get better, to feel better. And when we talk about mental health, we have to know our own mental health at the moment. If you are not in a good space in your mental health, you need to take some breaks. You need to pour into yourself and to do whatever it takes so that you can be okay cognitively. If you don't take care of issues like anxiety and depression and having lots of stress and not finding ways to manage your stress and regulate your emotions, you are going to get discouraged. You are going to feel like giving up. But we are resilient. There's so much issues that happen to so many women and men and children throughout the world, and it shows how resilient we are when we do go through depression. Some people deal with depression every single day of their life. Some people deal with paralyzing anxiety. A lot of people do not cope very well with stress. Some people don't know how to regulate their emotions. But why this is important to talk about resiliency when it comes to mental health, because if we don't take care of our mental issues, we're not going to be strong enough to continue on. And this life isn't just about going on and another day, the same thing. It's about living a life of peace, living a life of purpose. And we can't have those things if we're not taking care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. And our mind is involved, our mental is involved. And when it comes to things like anxiety, some things that help me with anxiety is uh, just deep breathing and not overwhelming myself, and and also not ignoring when I'm feeling anxious. Don't ignore how you feel. People on the outside love to tell you how things are for you or how they deal with it. but you're the one that's living in your own skin. You're the one that is going through certain things. So we have to give ourselves the permission to focus on our mental health. And if you're feeling anxious, you got to do what you need to do, whether it's deep breathing, going for a walk, doing some things that bring down your stress, listening to some calming music, and also on the other side of that, depression. That is a real condition that many people throughout the world suffer with. Depression of so many forms. There's so many types of depression. There's functional depression, and there's also the depression where they're just not coping and they have to be into a facility getting medical attention. But whatever the depression, it could be depression because of postpartum. It's so many forms of depression, but whatever form of depression, if you know anybody or if it's you, seek the help that you need to be able to feel your best so that you can continue to be the resilient woman or man that you are. Um, when I was suffering with depression for a while, after my father had passed away from cancer, I had to like let myself say what it was. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we hide, we lie to ourselves like I'm okay, and we're not. It's nothing wrong with saying, I'm not okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry, to be disappointed. And that will help us to be resilient. We can't be resilient if we lie to ourselves because we're sabotaging our own well being. We're standing in the way of what is going to help us. So when you say those things, when you admit it to yourself, I'm really depressed. And how long have I been depressed? And what can I do to stop myself from feeling this way? Some depressions can't be lifted because of it being a medical condition, and that may be a chronic condition that you may have to bear. But for others, the depression may be because of certain situations. And please seek medical help. I always will recommend that. Seek professional help. And sometimes I know I have been in that space, like when I was really depressed after my father passed away. I had to give myself the permission to say I'm not okay, and not lie to myself and not feel embarrassed by what I was feeling, and knowing that it's okay because I'm human and I shouldn't be ashamed to say I need to talk to somebody. Because feeling sad is one thing, and that's what I thought it was after my father passed away. I thought it was just I was sad because I missed him. I thought I was just grieving, and it was more than that because it had lasted for months, and I was still in the same space of this dark cloud over me, and I couldn't seem to kick the that heavy weight on my head, affecting my mental health. And one of the best things that I ever did when I was feeling that way is I needed to talk to somebody that was a third party. It was not somebody that I knew that would judge me or made me feel some type of way. So I'm always going to recommend that part if you are feeling depressed, like it's past sadness. Don't lie to yourself and say, you know what, I am depressed and I need to get some help because I love myself. And I'll tell you guys that it wasn't easy for me to make the appointment to see a therapist, but when I did, and I started talking about what I was going through, and my therapist was the one that informed me, Marlene, you're depressed. And I was like, depressed? I said, I thought I was just grieving. So something that helps is that we have to stop diagnosing ourselves. um I mean, not diagnosing ourselves, but like ignoring how we feel, and that will stop us from being able to feel better. You're standing in the way of your own help, your own healing, your own support. So when I got to the therapist and I started talking about what I was feeling, and the sadness and the deep pain and the loneliness and the everything that I was feeling, that is tied in with grief. And anyone who has ever lost somebody that they love will understand what I'm talking about. That it's not just one thing that you feel. It's not just that you miss them, is you miss everything tied to them. You miss the time you spent together. You miss seeing them. You miss their presence. You know, you miss their spirit. Just everything. And when they're gone, it's a void that you feel in your life. And one of the reasons why it's important for us to talk about grief, which I wanted to talk about today, is if you don't talk about it, you're going to replace that void with something else. Um, and unfortunately, it's not good things. Some people replace it with food, other people replace it with alcohol, some people replace it with drugs or other narcotics. And but we want to do something healthier to improve ourselves so we can be our best self. And I share this with all of my motivators family to show you guys that I'm human, and I got very depressed for almost a year, and I was in a state of denial. I definitely was denying it because they call what I had was called functional depression. I would go to work all day. I would, I had a life. I would be around friends. I would be around other people. But then when I got home, I was in a very, what they call low lows. You have your low lows and you have your high highs. Like I could be at work smiling and laughing, and then as soon as I got home, it was just, I would just collapse on my bed, and I would just cry and cry and cry, or just stay in my bed just staring into space. And that's what I did. I would function in the daytime, and I would be dysfunctional every night. And that's not something that can be sustained. And why I wanted to talk about this with my motivators family, for me to share with you all that you don't have to carry all the heavy weights on your own. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we'll have, if you have children, or you're married, or you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you have people that care about you. You don't want to appear like you're weak, right? And they'll ask you if you're okay, and you may feel like you're okay, but we're really not. And that's a conversation when it comes to mental health, that's very important for us to also be honest with ourselves. And we can't be honest with everybody when we talk about this. Hi, Sirius. How are you doing? Happy Thursday. We have to be very careful with who we share personal and private things, like our mental health, forms of abuse, um, just whatever, anything that's very personal and private to your heart. You have to be very careful about what you share with everybody, those things. um, and why I say that is because to be resilient, to be able to move past the sadness, the depression, the mental health issues, we first have to be honest with ourselves. And then when we're honest with ourselves, we can get the help. Then we can get back on, you know, the being able to be a functional part of everyday life. Okay. Now, let's talk about coping with adversity. This is very important in being resilient. Resilience helps individuals to navigate difficult situations like trauma, illness, job loss, because enabling people to bounce back from adversity and maintain a sense of hope and control. So, when we go through things like trauma, illness, job loss, or some really tough situation, when we show that I've been through this, and I'm still here, that we've coped with it, situations, we've been through things, and we still gave ourselves the permission to still be here. And this is something that we need to applaud for ourselves. And I say that to all of you ladies, all my gentlemen, all of my motivators family. You have to clap for yourself. It's not easy when we go through things. I'm doing great, Sirius. Thank you so much for asking. Hey, Vondi, how are you doing? Welcome. Happy new month, everybody. So let's talk next about coping with our mental health. We talked about that for a little bit, but some studies show a strong link between resilience and positive mental health outcomes, including reduced risk of anxiety, depression, and other mental health conditions. So, to be resilient, we got to protect our mental health. You have to protect your mental health. If you find that there are individuals that really stress you out, make you feel depressed, make you feel anxious, you got to protect yourself by cutting those people off, not allowing yourself to be around their energy and their toxicity, their drama. But with all of that, we can't do it alone. We have to enhance our well-being. That means that we have to think about ourselves. And resilience is very key with increased life satisfaction, because when you work on better stress management, like taking a day off for your mental health, taking a vacation, blocking and cutting off toxic people. When we do that, we give ourselves a greater capacity to cope with challenges, and ultimately, our quality of life is going to go up. Our quality of life is going to go up, and we're going to feel more positive, and we will feel more fulfilled in this life. And what does that make us? Stronger, more resilient, okay? And also, we have to promote our own personal growth. So, when we develop resilience, individuals can learn from our experience how to cultivate a growth mindset. Now, I've talked about this so many times, everybody. A growth mindset is when we we all grow up with a mindset. It could be a positive one or a negative one. When we have a growth mindset, is giving ourselves the permission right in our mind. I give myself the permission to do better. And we say things like, I'm powerful, there's nothing that I can't do, and anything that comes in that space where it will affect our mental health or a tough situation, we give ourselves the permission to get help, to seek help, to get support that we need, get the support that we deserve. That is going to help us, okay? And we can't be strong if we do not do things to keep ourselves strong. I had to learn that part, that I can't just work all the time. I have to have a work life balance. You work, and then you have some fun. You have to be balanced. That keeps you resilient. Taking some time for vacation, being around people that will make you feel at peace, people who support you and pour into you and love you, that is going to keep you strong, resilient. And like resilient materials, it can withstand the fire. And that's what I want for myself, and that's what I want for my motivators family as well. You have to be able to withstand the fire, but we can't withstand the fire if we are not doing things to take care of ourselves, like taking care of our mental health, unplugging from our phones, unplugging from toxicity, and having balance and spending time with ourselves and by ourselves, taking vacations and breaks, giving ourselves time to be by ourselves for whatever it is that we want to do, whatever it is that we like. And this is very important in being resilient is we have to build strong relationships. So resilience, it means fostering emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is so important. It's tied up in being resilient because you got to know how you feel, and you can't let other people make you feel bad for choosing yourself. You can't make other people cause you to be dysfunctional because of their dysfunction. Okay? And to build those stronger relationships, to cause us to be resilient, we have to improve our social skills. And this one was very difficult for me, is learning how to be better at communication. And I'm a person, I'll be honest with you all, I'm a person that I don't like to um, talk about certain things because my go-to thing is anything that makes me feel uncomfortable. My first thing is I want to pull back and be silent and don't say anything, kind of give the silent treatment. And I had to unlearn that because that's not healthy. I had to learn how to improve my social skills. I had to learn how to be a better communicator because when we communicate what we want, when we communicate what we expect, we can be resilient because we're already putting the blueprint out there. This is what I expect from you, and this is what you can expect from me. And there's nothing going to be nothing but improvement, elevation from people won't have to guess. They won't have to wonder. This is exactly, I'm giving you the guidelines, and this is the way it's going to be. You will treat me this way, and if you don't, I'm not going to deal with you anymore. See, that's building stronger relationships. It's not um, letting people assume. And that's something that I know I most definitely used to do a lot. I used to always say, oh, they know me. They know what makes me upset. And sometimes people don't. They don't know how you feel. They don't know that that upsets you if you don't have the conversations with them. So we have to empower others by talking about, what sets us off, and also telling people thank you for when they do things that do make you feel seen, heard, loved, and valued. That's how you build stronger relationships. It's not just pointing fingers and putting people down and saying you never, but it's saying things like thank you for when you did X, Y, and Z. When you do that, this is how it makes me feel. I learned that part in therapy is not telling people things and put them down, but you are informing them when they did this, when they had this behavior, this is the way your behavior affected me. And that's what you do when you're mature. Now, navigating life's challenges, because this is something we can't be resilient if we don't ever have challenges. Life is full of unexpected events and difficulties, but we have to be resilient so that we can provide all the resilient is going to provide all the tools that we need to be able to face our challenges head on, and it means that we're going to have to adapt to changing circumstances, and that is so hard because we get used to a routine of things being a certain way, and when our life pivots because either by choice or just because of day to day life with problems and situations, but we have to adapt to those changing circumstances. And we have to persevere. We have to continue on, and we have to move one day at a time. Sometimes it's one moment at a time. Sometimes a day is way too long. But when we continue on, it shows how resilient, how strong you are, and you need to be proud of yourself. Now, this one here is the last point, boosting your physical health. Now, research always suggests that there's a link between resilience and physical health. So, resilient individuals potentially experience better recovery from illness and injury. So, taking care of yourself. And the physical for me is linked with the diet. And diet is kind of a word that triggers me. I don't really like to use the word diet. I like to say eating, my eating routine, my eating regimen. So, how what we eat is going to be linked to how we feel. How we feel is going to be linked to how we think. How we think is going to be linked to what we do in this life. So, it all connects, okay? So, you got to take care of your physical health. And I know that that's not easy because being busy, working, there's a lot of things that we have to juggle as adults, but you got to take care of yourself. You have to make time for yourself. You really, really do. And I wanted to share these points to say to all of you to not give up. This life, it seems like you feel like giving up because there's so much problems, but we're resilient. You are resilient. Just the fact that you have overcome so much. I don't know everything that you have dealt with in your life, but I'm sure that there are situations. I'm sure there's been traumatic events. I know that there has been emotional, mental, physical, financial, spiritual things that you have had to deal with, but you're still here. So that shows how strong you are, how courageous you are. And we have to be resilient. We have to give ourselves the permission that anything that happens in our life, any trials, any fire like things that happen to us that will try to consume us. See, fire is either going to sharpen us or it's going to destroy us. We have to have be fire resistant. We have to be made of those type of materials. We can't let our situations, our problems in life consume us and take us down. We have to let our situations empower us. It's all about choices. It's about our mindset. It's what we focus on. It's who we allow to be in our lives, because who we have in our lives is going to be directly linked to how we feel. That's why I always say, Motivators family, be careful with who you surround yourself by. Everybody is not your friend. Everybody doesn't like you. Everybody is not going to support you. Everybody will not encourage you. It's likely the opposite. Most people will claim to be there for you and love you, but that's only because of what they want back from you. Okay? But you got to know your worth, and you have to know when it's time to let go of people, and you got to know when it's time to say, I have to make time for me. I learned that recently at the beginning of this year. I had to learn to start putting myself on my day to day plans, not just doing the adulting things as working and eating and things like that, but making time for my mental health, making time for my deep breathing, making time for exercise, making time to spend with people that I really love. That is all important in us continuing to be resilient. And we can't be strong. We cannot be strong if we do not do the things that will help us to continue. So, like I was talking about earlier, depression. if you've ever been depressed, or continue to deal with depression, or you are under a large amount of stress, don't ignore those things. Silence is not the answer. The key to our help and the key to our support to continue so that we can have peace and we can feel better is talking to those who actually support and are there for us, seeking help professionally via a therapist or a counselor. Okay? It's all of those things. Hey, Nate, how are you doing? It's all of those things that are important. So I just wanted to give you guys some encouragement and to say that you are resilient. There's nothing that you can't do. And don't let life situations break you down, because it's very easy to feel broken, because I have done that. I have said that to me. I'm broken, but everything is about what you say to yourself. If you tell yourself that you're strong, if you tell yourself you love yourself, the next question is should be, how do I treat myself? Because I love myself, how do I treat myself? See, and that's a question only we can answer. Nobody can answer that question for you but you. You have to treat yourself in a kind way, in a loving way. You have to know when it's time. I need a break for my mental health. I need a vacation. I need more sleep. I need to check on my health. I need to be eating better. And then you just take things one thing at a time. You know, that's the key to everything in this life. It's not overwhelming ourselves, but okay, right now I'm going to just focus on taking care of my mental health, and then do those things, you know, and take some deep breaths, journaling, and getting out in nature, giving back to other people, talking with a trusted friend or therapist or somebody, or, getting into your faith or spirituality. You have to do things for yourself so that you can keep your cup full. And that is what most people don't do. They wait until their cup is empty before they'll do something to shift their life. And I don't want you guys to wait till it's too late. Don't wait until you get sick. I don't want you guys to end up in the hospital overstressed. I don't want you to let situations or what somebody may have done to you to make you just want to give up. You need to face it, talk about it, release that negative energy, journal about it, and then give yourself the permission to let it go. And I have to tell you that I could never say I was resilient if I didn't talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is something that is so underrated. People don't understand that. When they see you continuing on, especially if you're a positive person and you keep a smile on your face, people will think that just because you're a positive person, you're motivated, that you don't have problems. But we all do. You have problems. I have problems. But a motivated person knows their limits. And limits is not limiting. When you know when you're tired, and then you say, I'm tired, and I give myself the permission to rest. I know when I am going to have a mental health breakdown, and I'll take a day off. I know when I need a vacation. I know when I need to watch either a TV program or give back to doing some things in my community. And when you help other people, you help yourself because you're not focusing on your own problems. So it depends on your situation and what you're going through in your life. But you got to do some things that is restorative for your mental, emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual health. There's nobody that's going to speak up and advocate for you but you. If you want to be resilient, it's going to take some courage. It's going to take some courage for you to be able to face your skeletons in the closet. It's going to take some courage for you to be able to say, you know what, I am depressed. You know what, I this person is toxic, and I need to get rid of them out of my life. Or I realize that my health is not in the good space, and I know that I have not been eating or exercising or whatever like I know I need to, and I got to get back into doing things for me. Being resilient means to be courageous. And courageous people see what they need to do, and they don't make excuses. They don't blame sister, mama, auntie, cousin. They take accountability for themselves. You know, I'm not doing what I need to do, and then they get on track. And like I've said so many times, Motivators family, you have to give yourself the permission to do it. You know, I have to give myself the permission to go and exercise. And I remind myself because I love myself. I say to myself also, I give myself the permission to have healthy relationships. If you got people in your life and they're toxic, I give myself the permission to remove them from my life so that I can keep my mental health, so I can keep my peace, so I can stay positive, so I will not be used because I love myself. See, loving yourself is more than just saying the words, I love myself. It's an action word. Because I love myself, this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to take care of my mental health. I'm willing to take care of my physical health. I'm willing to take care of my emotional health. I'm willing to support myself. I'm willing to encourage myself and give myself the permission to feel and to cry and to be sad and to cope with situations and say that it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be perfect. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be myself. And I love that. I love that for me, and I love that for all of my motivators family too, because trying to live up to a standard of perfection is not only unreasonable, it's unrealistic. No matter how much we want to be perfect, we're just not. But what we can do is to regulate that by saying, but I can do my best. And as long as we know we're doing our best, that's always good enough. Remember, remember that. As long as you know you're doing your best. I'm not talking about what other people expect from you and say you're not doing your best. No. I mean, when you know you're showing up for yourself, when you know you're taking care of your mental health, when you know you're doing everything you need to do and checking all of those boxes. I have healthy relationships. I'm taking care of my emotional health. I'm taking care of my mental health. I'm taking care of my spiritual health. I'm making time for me. And I have healthy relationships. I have people who pour back into me. That right there is something that is always a work in progress, because just because somebody at one time may have been good for us, it doesn't mean they're good for us now, because we are growing. We're becoming empowered. We're learning to love ourselves more. We're paying attention to their energy. Is their energy positive? Are they saying what they're doing? What are they doing? What they say they're going to do, or are they playing mind games with you? Are they a procrastinator, or are they helpful? Are they healing your spirit, or are they hurting your spirit? See, that's one of the things that I had to really tap into, those things, is to be very intentional when it comes to yourself. Pay attention to how you feel. How you feel matters, but you don't let your feelings control your whole life. It's a part of it, but it's not all of it. You also have to be reasonable in your expectations. That balance is key to your resilience. You gotta be balanced. You gotta take care of yourself, but you also have to have healthy people that pour into you. And That's something that a lot of people don't have that part. They're doing everything they need to. They're their own friend. They're speaking up for themselves. They're setting boundaries. They're doing all of the things, right? But if you don't have people who pour back into you, you cannot be resilient. Everybody needs somebody, some people. Everybody needs a positive support system that when you're down, they can lift you up. They can elevate you. They can drop seeds of hope into you. They can also empower you. You know, everybody gets discouraged sometimes, and everybody needs that safety net of a safe space to fall, that you don't feel triggered like you're going to step on some bombs, or, that you can't relax. You got to walk on eggshells around these individuals because they're never supportive of your feelings. They definitely care about their feelings, but they don't care about yours. You have to be very careful about uh, if you allow those individuals in your life. And sometimes we slack. We haven't really identified the red flags, or maybe you have, but you don't want to face it. You don't want to believe it. You've lied to yourself. But we can always do better, Motivators family. And I want you all to do better. I want you to be in a space of being happy. And that takes guts. It takes guts to live a life of purpose. It takes guts to turn your purpose into your passion, and to do so every single day. It takes courage to be empowered, to know what you want, and then having the courage to do it, to face those fears. But you're resilient. You're stronger than you think, ladies and gentlemen. But it's all about your mindset, and having the not only a positive mindset, but making sure that you check the expectation of yourself, that I don't have to be perfect. I just have to do better than I did yesterday. It's not just a positive mindset, it's having a positive attitude, and making it be reasonable and attainable. Today, I'm going to do the best that I can. For me, that's an empowerment. I don't mean being better than whoever's around you, because we can't live out anybody else's dreams. The only person's dreams we can live out is our own. We're only in control of us, of what we do, of what we say, and how we treat ourselves. We cannot control what other people do or say to us. See, that is the empowerment. And if you are not feeling good in your own skin, if you're not to a space that you desire, you got to put some work into yourself and pour into yourself. Pour into maybe your inner child, the little girl inside of you, the little boy inside of you. It may be needing some some time. May need some encouragement. I talk to my inner child. I talk to my little Marlene, and I encourage her. I let her know that you know I'm in a better space than I was when I was a little girl. And the same thing for you all. Do you encourage your inner child and talk to her, talk to him, and say, I'm proud of our growth. We're doing better. You know, clap for yourself. Applaud yourself. You got to be your own cheerleader and your own best friend. Know that you are enough. Okay? Know that. If nobody empowers you, you can empower yourself. You can stand up for yourself. That's not anybody else's job. You have to give yourself the permission to be happy, and you have to give yourself the permission to let things go, and to forgive, and to heal, and to move on. Okay? Thank you guys so much for your support. And I wanted to say to all of my Motivators family, to never give up in this life. I know that there's a lot of things that can make you want to give up. Other people, dealing with them, stresses of life, problems, money, and on it goes. But just the fact that you're here another day, I want to say to all of my motivators family, I'm grateful that you're alive. You're alive another day for a reason and for a purpose. Know yourself, love yourself, and speak over your life. You know, the more that we have gratitude for what we have, we will not really worry about what we don't have. Learning to be satisfied with ourselves and our gifts and our talents and what we possess, and not worrying about what other people have. They have their own issues, and I'm going to work on mine so I can be in my own skin and loving the woman that I am. And I want you to love the woman or the man that you are as well. See, we always going to work on healthy self-esteem, not being egotistical, just being having a healthy amount of self-esteem and loving yourself and being confident. And because you love yourself and because you are confident, you let yourself face your fears. You let yourself pause, or you let yourself put the foot on the gas. So sometimes we do need to stop, and other times we need to really go forward and move on. Okay? Thank you guys so much for supporting this conversation and podcast. If you're new here to Marlene Motivates, I am your life coach. I am a motivational speaker, and I do coaching. Coming soon is going to be my coaching website. I've been working on that for some time, and it is coming. Shout out to all of my amazing mods. Shout out to all of my channel members. I appreciate every single one of you. And I want to encourage you with this thoughts to be your best self. Not what other people think is your best, but what you think is your best. Have the courage to be you. Have the courage to make changes. And have the courage to let yourself cry. Have the courage to let yourself be upset. Have the courage to let go of things that is stopping you from going, and also blocking out any negative energy, any negative people, anybody who is stopping you from experiencing personal growth. We have to let those individuals go. You know why? Because we're enough. And we can't make people love us. We can't make people treat us the right way. We can't make people give us what we deserve. All we can do is know what we deserve and find people who we don't have to try to force that. We don't have to try to explain why we need X, Y, and Z. Either a person can give that to us or they can't. And if they can't, set them free and let them go, and allow the people who deserve to be there to give you the freedom and allow you to spread your wings and to fly. Okay? Okay, that is all for today's discussion and podcast. Um, I wish you guys all the best, and I want you guys to be encouraged. And I know that that's not easy. I know that it's not easy to be encouraged on a day-to-day basis because of life and stress and problems and aggravation. And every day we get older, every day we deal with people who are very aggravating. Every day, from whatever, from social media to relatives to work to this to that. But don't let that be a reflection of the way you treat yourself. Remember to always spend time with yourself and by yourself. Sending you positive energy, positive support, motivation, and mind support. I'm Marlene Motivates, and I am your life coach for motivation, inspiration, and more. Be sure to subscribe and join my channel membership. It starts at $1.99, and I will see you guys back maybe tomorrow. I'm going to try for tomorrow, and if I can't, we're going to try again on Sunday. Everybody have a great rest of your evening. This is Marlene Motivates, and you know what we say over here. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life. I'll see you guys tomorrow or Sunday. Have a great rest of your evening and keep your head up because you are enough.